Welcome back to the Squad Show. You got me, Luke Inman, at Luke_Spinman. And go ahead and throw those mock drafts away. These Vikings, they ain't done yet.
I'm Luke Braun from Locked On Vikings, and the Vikings are very much done, but at least it feels a little better.
What's up? I'm Sam Ekstrom. Ron's trying to cut in line. I love me a sad Jerry Jones.
And I don't know where Luke thought that they were still in for, but they are in for a surprise. Justin Jefferson, 1,000 yards, it's coming.
Skol! It's the Viking Squad. Everything Minnesota Vikings, every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from the land of 10,000 lakes. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. It's time to gear up. The Viking Squad Show starts now.
What's going on? Back in the lab, back at it. Another Viking Squad Show. 60 minutes of instant reaction deep dive, including the biggest turning points, our X factor from tonight. Vikings playing spoiler here down the stretch, plus 4 more solid quarters for J.J. McCarthy to add to the resume. But before we get into all the action, quick reminder, tonight's episode brought to us by FanDuel. FanDuel, if you want to be right in the middle of all the action this season, go visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. One more quick reminder as well. After this episode, go check out that guy right there, Luke Braun over on Locked On Vikings, pumping out all your daily content each and every day. Ron back in the leadoff spot. Vikings officially, eliminated from the postseason. That means it's pretty much about 2 things now, Ron, down the stretch. Playing spoiler, and then obviously developing, J.J. McCarthy in this offense best you can. Felt like we checked both those boxes in a huge way tonight. I guess what just stuck out the most in this one as you kind of watched it unfold the way it did?
Yeah, he was a tip ball away from a pretty clean game. That tip ball early on was extremely saddening to start, I guess, because it's kind of set the tone, thinking like, okay, here we go again. This is about to be one of those games, and he cleaned it up. I was glad to see him bounce back. I was glad to see his resilience. The defense fought back for him. But the biggest thing I liked about J.J. McCarthy is his 1 ball and his 2 ball. Like on that slant route to Justin Jefferson in the red zone, he absolutely saved Justin Jefferson from taking a big shot to the ribs by throwing a 1 ball. And then on that 4th down, that fade route or that wheel route to Jalen Naylor, he just put a perfect touch on it to where Naylor saw it coming. The DB didn't know it was in the air yet, and made a great catch. I just think there's a couple plays here and there where if he throws it a little bit sooner, again, Justin Jefferson needs to catch that touchdown on the corner route. But if JJ throws it a little bit sooner, that's probably an easier catch in the touchdown. And then same thing to the deep ball to Jalen Naylor, or no, sorry, Addison. If he throws that sooner, it's a walk-in touchdown. So it's just timing. And again, I think we even heard on the broadcast them saying he didn't get a lot of time on his feet last year. So some of the stuff they wanted to fix, they couldn't even fix and work with him on. So this is a guy that spent an entire offseason basically and season in crutches on sitting down, not doing much. And then 7-8 games now. So it's coming together, and it's good to see, some of the quick game stuff finally, them using it, and less stuff for him at the line of scrimmage pre-snap. I think that's going to be the key moving forward anyway. Like it's some of the stuff just needs to be thrown out and let him read the progressions the way he sees them versus you trying to manipulate the defense.
Yeah, Ron. I mean, Ron just brought up the quick game stuff. Throw a bunch of the complicated stuff out the window. 8-ish straight quarters of. Again, the bar was low, but the best ball we've seen JJ play now. What do you think is kind of the biggest recipe for success? What's it been? Because, the offensive line, that's still not fixed. They're still not healthy. The running game still isn't very efficient game to game. What has been the big switch, I guess, that you've seen kind of flip these past 8 quarters?
Yeah, I thought this game was a little more complicated game plan wise than the last one. They did have a little bit more of that kind of like there was a fake end around or a little kind of, more play action fakes where it forces you to take awkward steps. And McCarthy did a really good job with all of that, which tells me that the problem maybe did exist a little bit more in just too much mechanical coaching. That's really what changed here, right? It was the whole narrative of the week, and now suddenly things are very different. It's a pretty easy story to tell. So if that's the case, and that, we can go to the offseason and hope the mechanics get better and you don't get as many misses, because there were still a couple that went high or There was one, where he climbs the pocket, he doesn't set his feet, and he ends up one hopping it. That could have been a check down, maybe a chance to convert. You still want to get those out of there, but this is a lot more of what I thought the highs would look like this year, where, okay, he's a second-year quarterback that's functionally a rookie. He's going to have games where I hoped the offense would move like this more often, but you still would have those mistakes that kind of show you, okay, we're not there. We're not all the way there yet. But I just thought it was nice that he stayed calm, especially down 6 at one point, and then that touchdown drive that they put together where it felt like the game was starting to get away from you, and he didn't panic and lose his feet and lose all of his control of his lower body and start forcing the ball and all that stuff that we saw against the Ravens or the Bears. He just kind of kept executing the thing, right? The power of a completion. There were a lot of checkdowns tonight. I thought it was a very cool, calm, collected game, and I think part of that is because there was no drama at the end. So I wasn't I'm not coming away from it feeling nervous myself. It was pretty calm most of that fourth quarter. Plus there's no stakes on it. So maybe that helps too. Once you're so out of the playoffs that there's no pressure on you anymore.
Yeah. This was kind of a sexier game than last week. I mean, last week didn't have to do very much. I think we all liked the first touchdown pass to Josh Oliver last week, but very little asked of him, and he executed with a huge lead and a great running game and a great defense. This week, didn't get a lot of support from the running game, didn't get a lot of support from the defense, no takeaways, didn't get a lot of support from special teams other than Aubrey missing kicks for Dallas. This was a lot of J.J. McCarthy. He made throws that were off schedule. The touchdown to Naylor, I know that Chris Collinsworth wants to pick apart the mechanics. That is a sick throw. He had to do stuff himself this game. He had to run for first downs in a big spot, and take a hit on the head. He had this. It was not coming easily with all the stuff around him. Offensive linemen in the game. Stuff was happening, and he stayed really poised through it, especially after the second play of the game, batted ball interception. Walks off the field, kind of shrugs it off and smirks about it, and then comes out and plays really good football. So much more explosive than last week. Ron, I was telling you on Tuesday that I wanted to see kind of a volume game from J.J. McCarthy, more of a shootout where he had to win. He definitely was able to win a shootout. It wasn't really a high-volume throwing game, only 15 of 24, but he had to continually execute and lead drives down the field, make big throws. And we saw that tonight. This checks another box in my mind that he can win a little higher scoring game where he has to keep putting points on the board.
Yeah, Ron, you and I always do the Gophers post-game show. Obviously, you got the bowl game coming up here in a couple weeks, but I'm looking at the team stats. We always look at the team stats in those Gophers post-game shows, and kind of like Sam pointed out, there's not a lot of wins in here, less passing yards, less rushing yards by a lot. You lost the turnover battle, which we know is huge. Lost the time of possession battle, I should say, which we know is huge. The only real things that they kind of checked the box or won at was way less penalties, which was a huge kind of thorn in their side the first half of the season. Only 3 penalties for 17 yards. And then they really clamped down, both defense and the offense for that matter, in the red zone. So they gave up a lot of yards on defense, but they clamped down the red zone. And then when the offense did get in the red zone, they cashed in 3 for 4 times. So team stats, what kind of sticks out, if anything, in those team stats? And how do you think it kind of equated to, tonight's victory, I guess?
The one that sticks out to me, I mean, I don't know if it equates into victory. I'm actually looking at where their first downs came, because on third down, they were 2 for 9. And so for me, as I'm looking through this, a 2nd and 13, they converted that. The only 2 third downs they converted were a 3rd and 1 run to Mason and a 3rd and 8, 58-yard bomb to Addison. Other than that, they didn't get a ton of production of moving the sticks on third down. You look at some of the 3rd and 1 calls where the offensive line just didn't do a great job blocking. We talked about scheming up the run and just putting a fullback in the game. They brought up tonight on the broadcast, I think that was CJ Ham's first carry of the season was tonight. We're in week 15. That seems a bit odd to have a fullback on your roster and have 1 carry. And he didn't get it until week 15. And that's been one of the issues is short yardage runs, and you don't use a guy like that. So That's the one team stat for me that's weird. But then it shows that JJ McCarthy was willing to attack on second down and, use his legs and, keep the pocket moving a little bit, make some of those big throws. The run game was putting them in manageable situations, but that's a shocking one. So I don't know if it accounts to the win, but it's just like to go 2 for 9 on third down and still win the game like that in the shootout. I'm amazed. But then the other side of it is the team stat of the defense. I got to give the Vikings defense a heads up, or sorry, a round of applause, I guess, for the same thing. They only allowed 2 first downs on third down as well. So they were creating a lot of issues for Dak Prescott. You can see Harrison Smith bluff a couple times, and then when he finally came, almost had that could have been an interception if the linebacker had kept running forward. It would have been a pick. I don't know why he stopped his feet right when the ball was in the air, and then he realized, like, oh shoot, I could have got that. That it was kind of a unique blitz when Harrison Smith. It looked like he called his own shot too. It didn't look like he was originally going to blitz, and he just ran up and said, "Oh, he's taking too long. I'm going," and he just went. So those are the two stats: the third downs for the Vikings defense and the third downs for Vikings offense. To me, were kind of weird.
Yeah, Luke, I mean, just kind of echoing that, kind of proving my point here. Not a lot of box scores you're going to look at and see this kind of lopsided of a game and see the team that was kind of, on the wrong end of that win by 8 points, really 11 when you think about that garbage field goal down the end. But again, I'm looking at a couple, really 3 key things here. The yards per pass, one is 10.4. That's got to be the highest it's been all year, 10.4 yards per pass. So some big plays.
I'm pulling some True Media right now. I got some cool stats for you.
But the other
PFF grade, by the way, is huge on McCarthy. 91.8.
Ooh.
The other two things, though, guys.
They must not give him any guff for that interception at the beginning.
They don't.
Huh?
They do
not. Yeah, good point. The other two things I was just going to say real quick is, and we were banging the table all season long as the Vikings were struggling those first 8, 9, 10 games. The lack of negative early plays, 0 sacks by J.J. McCarthy, and that kind of scrambled offensive line they had to throw out there tonight. Then again, only 3 penalties, and the 3 penalties only equated to 17 yards.
Yeah, that was actually what I was going to here's a team stat for you, a little bit of the nerdy stat of the day for the post-game show. The Vikings started 13 of their series with a pass on 25 first downs. They passed on 13 of those, about half. Every single time they passed on first down, they converted into either touchdown or first down. Every single series that started with a pass converted to the next set of downs. That's pretty good. There's a lot of stats that just show you like really nice, clean, consistent execution. You're not going to get every single play. You're not going to score on every single drive. That would be historic. But if you just give that nice, clean execution and move the ball most of the time, you're going to be able to put up 34 points without any turnovers the other way.
And just to jump on that for Luke's point, on the pregame show, we like my 3-minute drill was literally the Dallas defense on first down. Their first down defense was the worst, or one of the worst in the NFL. When you look at almost 6 yards per play, which was 28th, 22% of those plays were a first down or a touchdown, which is 25th. 92 first downs on first down is what the defense had given up to this point, which was 29th. And then 202 passes is what the defense faced on first down this year, which is the 3rd most. And a lot of people's like, well, what is it before when they had Micah Parsons? 175 passes, which was the 8th least in 2023. So the exit of Micah Parsons, yes, they brought in Quentin Williams at the trade deadline, but people are not as scared. They've not been scared to attack this offense, or sorry, this defense this year with the pass on first down, because it's a really vanilla kind of rush forward, drop 7 defense. And a lot of times the corners like Bland, he's giving it away early. Today, for some reason, he was up in Justin Jefferson's grill. But if you go back and watch that Eagles game, it was like A.J. Brown was Debo, and he was like getting his chain snatched, because every single time on first down, he was scared and backing away from A.J. Brown.
How about another nerdy stat for you? 0 sacks. That feels good.
Wow.
That feels good. J.J. McCarthy, and they showed this mid-game, and I've got the final number here. When he was in the pocket for more than 2.5 seconds, that's been a recipe for bad this season. When the play goes on too long, usually reflects some bad decision making, running around trying to make tough throws off platform, and it hasn't gone well for JJ McCarthy. Tonight, 9 of 13, $169, a touchdown, no picks, just fantastic protection with the patchwork offensive line. You didn't have either tackle by the end. And I thought Ryan Kelly did a great job. I thought Jackson did a great job. And they faced some physicality early on. And it felt like Dallas was going to overpower Minnesota if you just watch the first 2 drives of the game. And then all of that went away once you start making some plays downfield. So really positive developments there with line and McCarthy hanging in there and making some improv plays. Just excellent work.
And
only one pressure from School, by the way, which is I think if you're the pass rusher,
I would have lost that
up by Justin School. It's time to to have some real deep thoughts.
Last quick thing on the offensive performance, I guess, before we move on to segment 2. Ron, again, 34 points, and like you pointed out, you only went 2 for 9 on third down. Your leading rusher was Aaron Jones, 12 carries, only 34 yards, and Justin Jefferson, only 2 catches on 8 targets. I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves here. It's going to be a long offseason, plenty of talkers about 2026 and what it looks like, but it is kind of encouraging, is it not, that we know Justin Jefferson is going to bounce back at some point, whether it's at the end of this year or 2026. Maybe he just needs a fresh slate per se. But once that combo gets clicking, the JJ to JJ combo or connection that we haven't seen all year, it is kind of fun to think about what this offense could look like, is it not?
Are we sure it's gonna click this year? Like, I don't know if it's gonna click this year. And here's the reason why. Like, it's just been an odd year of, you think about, he didn't have him in training camp, right? So he never truly learned Justin Jefferson. And so I think that's the key. Like, he learned Jordan Addison. He learned Jalen Naylor. He learned his tight ends. He never really learned Justin Jefferson. And when I played, I remember guys would do this. We would get up with quarterbacks in the morning and throw. But I really saw it, like, done the right way with Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning, for 2 years, I watched him every morning he had a chance. He was texting different receivers to meet him at 6:30 in the morning. And it was not to, like, work out full speed. It was just to run a few routes here and there to figure out what they're doing. And I know that because I remember as a new coach, I used to want to be the first person in the office. So I made a point to try to show up at 5:24 sometimes, 5:25, 5:30. And every single time when I'm showing up, boom, I see headlights maybe 10, 15 minutes later, and it's Peyton and maybe a receiver or two, and he was learning those guys. J.J. McCarthy hasn't had a chance to learn those guys. I even heard somebody bring this up. J.J. McCarthy probably spent more time throwing to Adam Thielen this offseason than he did Justin Jefferson. And so he just hasn't learned it yet. So, again, it's some of the balls he is putting on him. But some that, like the fade ball when Bland was in Justin Jefferson's chest, that ball has to be higher so that his catch radius can take over. Like, he kind of put it to where Bland could make a play on the ball. So again, it's just learning what Justin Jefferson does well. Seems like he knows the other guys, but he just hasn't learned Justin Jefferson yet. But I will say, once it clicks, the way JJ's throwing the ball, the footwork, you see the foot coming off the ground throw versus the foot staying flat throw, all that stuff, I think it will be really good because he throws a really good ball. Like, you saw that slant. He put it on Justin Jefferson so that he felt like, okay, I'm not going to take a big hit to the ribs. Because remember, Josh Dobbs sent Justin Jefferson to the hospital with one of those balls. McCarthy kind of knows when to throw the one ball. It's just, can he figure out the 2 and the 3 ball to Justin Jefferson to get him some more throws? But no, I'm not sure in these next 3 games it's going to look beautiful with Justin Jefferson. I just don't think it will.
Jefferson has had, it's uncomfortable, but Jefferson has had some games this year where teams have just like put a corner on him, and that corner has played a good game. I'm thinking of like Amik Robertson. I'm thinking of, I think Deron Bland was just in good coverage a lot. Like, he didn't get open against that one-on-one like you usually would. And yeah, there's safety help over the top, and there always is. And in previous years, that kind of hasn't stopped Jefferson from getting a whole bunch of separation. But that's okay. The offense worked really, really well. And it's nice that he can afford to have an off day here or there, and then you're going to have a big one from Hawkinson. You're going to have a big one from Addison. Well, Addison had one big play, but you're going to be able to, get the ball away to your running back or to your check downs or scramble, make it work. Not to mention, second week in a row, the run game absolutely humming a whole bunch of explosive runs, keep you ahead of the chains, keep things easy and all that. So it's, I'm not alarmed about it at all, but it's probably worth pointing out that, like, Jefferson not producing in the way that we're used to him producing is not just a factor of McCarthy's struggles or the O-line struggles or the play calling. That dude's dropped some. He's gotten clamped a bunch. He has gotten contested catches that he usually comes down with. That he didn't
not
come
one
down
thing.
With. Like, he carries his share of this blame pie just like everybody else.
The high pointing of the football has not been a strength of his. It's been a weakness this year. Like anything above the helmet level, it seems like he struggled to come down with. That tonight, that absolutely has to be a touchdown. 10 out of 10. That's got to be a touchdown. Not really having to leave
that
his
corner
feet.
route. Yeah, you got to get that one.
Yeah, right before CJ Ham walked in. All's well that ends well. That's got to be a TD. He's probably left 100 yards on the field this year just with those type of plays alone.
Well said there. Plenty more deep dive coming up. Biggest turning points in this one, plus our stock up, stock down. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, tonight's episode brought to us by Aura Frames. The holidays are officially here, which means gift hunting season is on. If you want something meaningful, personal, and guaranteed to get a reaction, Aura Frames is the gift that delivers each and every time. It's not just something you wrap. It's a personalized way to share memories, and it isn't just your average picture frame. You can preload the frame with photos before gifting it, so when they plug it in, the memories are already there, locked and loaded. No apps to figure out, no setup headaches, just instant smiles. What I love the most, the package comes ready to gift. No price tag, no wrapping needed. It's a holiday gift that actually gets used and not forgotten in some closet collecting dust. Now, for a limited time, save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com and get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver mat frames, named #1 by Wirecutter. That's AURAFrames.com. Promo code Locked On. The deal is exclusive to listeners, and frames do sell out fast, so order yours now and get it in time for the holidays. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. All right, let's get into the biggest turning points from this one. When you think back to that kind of, deciding momentum changer, maybe there's a backbreaking play or drive. For me, I'm thinking you're going into the fourth quarter. After that Brandon Aubrey miss, second miss on the night, by the way, very next drive, Vikings get the ball after that miss. McCarthy leads them down on this quick 5-play touchdown drive. He had an 8-yard scramble for a first down. Next play, it's an 18-yard strike to Oliver. Next play, an 18-yard strike to Hawkinson, and then the dagger to Naylor for the touchdown. That's pretty much flawless on the stat sheet, and that put him up 8 points. And at the time, it just really felt like that was a huge momentum swing. I mean, that was a huge turning point considering the Aubrey missed field goal. You add that to the equation, that's a 10-point swing. What else comes to the top of your guys' mind? When was it and why? What sticks out the most right now?
Yeah, mine's a little earlier. Coming out of the half, the Cowboys, who had gotten the chance to double up on you, right? They score a touchdown or they score a field goal going into the half. They come out, they score another field goal. Vikings go 3 and out, punt it back, third field goal. And that was 3 unanswered scoring drives. Thank God they were all field goals. We're still in this, but it sure did feel like the game was getting out of hand. And this is the one I mentioned at the top of the show. First play in that situation where just the vibes were so much worse than the situation. And that's where we've seen McCarthy just dissolve. First play, 4 verts, TJ Hawkinson up the seam, big giant play, and then a beautiful drive down, including a 4th down conversion, beautiful drive that ends in that CJ Ham touchdown that we just talked about. That to me felt like this settle in moment, and that gave the Vikings a lead that they would never give up.
Yeah, you don't want to be the team that kind of dominates a chunk of a football game and only comes away with 6 points. Like when Dallas starts that third quarter with good drive, field goal, quick, was it 3 and out? Vikings go, Dallas gets it back. Another really good drive, went almost 70 yards, pretty effortless field goal. That is usually a red flag that a game, you could have the game turned back on you pretty quickly. And then we get into Braun's point of the first play of that next drive, the dime to Hawkinson. I mean, when you're down 6, you feel like the game is there for the taking. If you're down 10 there, it feels different. And Schottenheimer, I thought probably should have gone for a 4th and 2 at the Vikings 18, the way they were moving the ball, both running and passing. That felt like an opportunity for them to really step on the gas and try to end that thing early, and they didn't take it. And they kicked the field goal there, settled for the 6-point lead, and then JJ did his thing. Credit to McCarthy too, and O'Connell for having an offensive approach that worked for all 4 quarters. This wasn't a game where like the script ran out and suddenly JJ McCarthy looked lost. It felt like there was substantial offensive scheming being done for 4 quarters of the football game. Steps in the right direction.
Yeah, Ron, anything stick out as far as biggest turning point, or even just a splash play, a nice drive, anything stick out right now shortly after the game?
Down the seam, the throw to what's his name, Hawkinson. Like for me, I felt like that's when JJ McCarthy kind of was, making some good throws, and again they kept breaking down. Like I wasn't understanding what they were trying to show. Was that Josh Allen? They were showing him throwing, and then JJ McCarthy. Is that what that was?
Yeah, it was Josh Allen as at Wyoming and how messed up his mechanics were. And then you look at McCarthy's and they're like similar to that. And then a clip from this Hard Knocks, this Buffalo season of Hard Knocks, this nice slow motion of like his throwing motion looking super nice and kind of this, yeah.
So basically the point was JJ McCarthy could be fixed. Is that what they're trying to say?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the mechanical version of Josh Allen's stats in his first 2 years were.
Got it. Yeah, because I was looking at it, but I was like, what are they? I could not understand what he was saying. And but anyway, so like when you talk about those throws, right? Because I know they started trying to break it down. Like, here's a throw, he does this. Here's whether he's gonna really rip it, the foot's gonna come up. Like those throws, that one to him, and I think the one to Oliver, I think both were like 18-yard routes. It just kind of really showed. And then that one at the end for me too, kind of the corner route to Hawkinson to kind of seal it. That was the one where I was like, okay, that's a touch ball. And it was layered perfectly over the top of Hawkinson. Because if you would have rewound maybe, 8 weeks ago, that ball's probably in the first row of the stands in Dallas Stadium. Like he would have thrown it way too hard. He would have probably tried to lead, Hawkinson too far. He kind of made the throw where it was like, it's your ball. You got to go make this play, though. Because even the DB hit it down towards Hawk, and he still was able to come down with the ball. So those 3 passes for me just kind of showed a little bit of growth with different throws, like a layered middle throw, a zinger, and then he kind of layered one over the top. Like I just felt like those moments there, it's like, okay, this guy's actually dealing the ball.
Yeah, he felt like he was in his bag, especially on that drive. He just felt like.
By the way, his gritty was terrible. That gritty, that was horrible. Never do that again. Just score.
Yeah, I think it's his he cocks his arm or he's got like an ice in his veins thing.
Yeah,
he's got his own celebration.
Yeah.
I don't
down the sleeve.
Fully get it, but it's like you're gonna see it a lot. So
I'm into
sorry,
it.
Ron.
I'm into it.
Not as bad as the Mike
Gesicki's was bad, but that
not as bad.
It was like
still
trying to be
he
bad,
still
though.
does it.
That was like a bit.
He still does it, and he's never gotten better.
Well, I think
does it just
Brandel
as wrong.
also did one like that, kind of almost Gesicki-ish, kind of.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about.
We try to erase it from our minds, but it's still there.
Yeah, you don't want to see that.
No. Transitioning to coach's corner again, we've given KOC a little bit of love, but how good of a job do you think he did adjusting to just finding better ways to put the quarterback in just more efficient positions, or what did you love the most, I guess, as far as play calling, personnel usage, run pass balance, all that good stuff, whatever it may be?
I have one. I'm going to go into it in a little more detail on Locked On Vikings that I'll record kind of right when we're done here. But looking elsewhere in the league this week with Phillip Rivers and that really cool story that happened there and how he was able to kind of look okay. And that is a guy that is deeply out of shape, that doesn't have any throwing motion mechanics to speak of. He is shot putting everything out there. I feel like there is no excuse, no matter who your quarterback is, to be substantially worse than that consistently. It has to mean that you're making, your own mistakes, and it's not just, I can't work with this QB. If the Colts can work with that guy, you have to have been able to work with McCarthy better than you were before. So I'm very glad that these last couple games have come together and they've solved that puzzle, because there just has to be a way to set your guy up for more success and make things easier for him. And it's just such a bummer that they didn't find it till it's too little too late. But those easier throws, splitting the field in half with, rollouts or sprint outs, all of these little things, where was all this all year long?
Yeah.
Because it clearly works. And not only is it working, it's not just making like a conservative offense that's, respectable. No, this is over the last 2 weeks, the Vikings have offensively been one of the best teams in the league. Like this worked. Where was it?
Yeah. Yeah, Ron, how about the defense? How about some love for Brian Flores? I mean, look at the past even 5 games. I know a lot of losses in there, but the Packers game had a great half there defensively. Seahawks game, you get blown out 26-0, but again, tough to put a lot of that on the defense. Obviously, the shutout last week, and I know they gave up 26 points tonight, but it just looks like they're playing free. They're playing very loose out there, very confident, and just flying around right now.
Yeah, when you got Grenard, Van Ginkel, and Dallas Turner and Jalen Redmond all getting after the quarterback, I think that's the key. Like, they didn't let Dak Prescott stay real comfortable for too long. You had Harrison Smith on the blitz. You had Josh Metellus on the blitz. You had Isaiah Rodgers on a run blitz on support. So, that defense does a great job of figuring out when to blitz. It was so funny to see the zone cross dog actually get picked up and Dak Prescott somehow get through there and make a ridiculous throw running towards the line of scrimmage. And the tight end with the one-handed catch. But that's one of those things when you think about this defense. I love, watching Harrison Smith run up in the line of scrimmage because Dak Prescott was taking too long. He's like, look, this is going to be something else. I'm going. And he just goes, and you can kind of see the other cornerbacks like, oh, shoot, like he's gone. We're manned up. But they all figured it out pretty quick, and they made Dak Prescott real uncomfortable. But the one thing I liked is, on first and second down, Dallas's offense coming into this game was first in the NFL with 710 plays run, which means they are extremely efficient. They're, 5.7 yards per play on first down for them. 29% of those plays turned into a first down, and 207 of those were first downs, which was second in the NFL. That was a defense that didn't allow it today. You saw them force third down way more than Dallas was comfortable with doing, and you could tell Dak Prescott just really wasn't comfortable in a lot of those situations. So I think that was a key. So Brian Flores did a great job. He did a great job of forcing them in the third downs, and that was the key to this. One thing I did want to say though, the Vikings offense also staying on the field longer than expected helps out keeping the defense on the sideline, because on first down, and I think Luke bucked us up another stat to go with that, on first down, they gained 150 yards today, which was 6.5 yards per play on first down, which is better than any offense Dallas has faced. So that was kind of the other key, was they attacked Dallas on first down. They have 14 first downs, and only 2 of them came on third down. So that's the Vikings offense actually moved the ball and kind of stayed. And I was wondering when Kevin O'Connell was going to get impatient, and we saw a couple impatient plays. He just was like, hey, go try to throw as far as you can. But he contained himself for the most part. I think, after that performance, Kevin O'Connell definitely is not going to have Cole in his stocking, and because that's where he was headed with some of those play calling.
Offensive thought and defensive thought. Offensive thought, 3 for 3 on fourth down. You got to give the head coach some credit when that's the stat that you have. But how about the first fourth down, the bootleg that resulted in the bad gritty? I mean, that play call was awesome and so well executed by the quarterback. Apparently,
have you seen the Peyton Manning highlight?
Yeah,
when he did
that was my first thought.
The Cowboys.
Right? Yeah, Manning didn't gritty though, so I think that
he just
McCarthy
had to get in there, man.
Yeah, I think that was a Thanksgiving game. Yeah.
I will say Jordan Mason sold it too, because he took an absolute shot from the linebacker coming off the edge. I literally thought that was a dead play. I'm like, he's done. And then the camera guy didn't even pick it up, and JJ was just
that's when
jogging.
when the camera when you fool the camera.
When the camera guy's off, you're like, okay, you got a good one.
Yeah, even the defensive back who had a second to react to it, even he was running for the pile and not the pile on, which so well executed play all around. On defense, I really hated the Vikings defense for about 3/4 of the game. And then by the end, I kind of walked away saying, you know what? This is just one of those game plans where they were going to give them a lot and then put the clamps on in the red zone and just try to slow them and not stop them. And when you think about it, they forced 7 field goals in the game. Now, one of them was faked, right? But they did force it. And then Aubrey goes 4 of 6. They forced 7 field goals in the game, which is kind of a perfect execution of, I think, the game plan that they were aiming for. We also have the Kevin Seifert stat, 48% pressure rate on Dak Prescott tonight, highest for any game in his career. That's absurd.
Wow.
Yeah, and I mean, think of the offensive
it's
line
such a
that he's
waste of a
had.
season from Dak, dude. He's
For
playing
most of his
so
career,
well.
Yeah, he's balling, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he
What
really
is this,
is.
year 9 for him, I want to say?
Man.
Maybe 10?
2016 was his
2016,
debut year.
year
So
9.
this is 10.
Oh, this is 10. Okay. Yep. Quick math.
Speaking to that, I think that there is something like the Cowboys ran the ball really, really well from neutral situations, and I think that there's some genuine concern involved in that we've been seeing all year. And the fact that it kind of shores up in the red zone, well, people don't line up as deep in the red zone. Everything compresses in the red zone, and then suddenly people's angles are a little tighter and everything happens a little bit quicker, and getting blown off the ball up front doesn't hurt as much on the 15 as it does on the 50 because there's just not that much more room there's just not that much more space to eat up on the back end. And when everybody gets up a little bit closer, it's just going to be a little bit harder to run the ball. And then suddenly you can see you later, Ron.
See you, Ron.
And then suddenly they have to throw into the teeth of the defense a little bit more, or play the Vikings game a little bit more. They have to try something else that's not necessarily as good against the like sim pressures that the Vikings want to do, or the true pressures. So I think that bend don't break is really it's a helpful hint to explain what was going wrong with the Vikings defense, because they gave up a lot of production, and the fact that it shored up in the red zone kind of helps tell you the why of that. But ultimately they made just enough plays to make this thing not really dramatic at the end.
Yeah, well said there. Plenty more to come. Stock up, stock down, plus what we love, what we hated. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, tonight's episode also brought to us by FanDuel NFL Sundays. They move fast. One big play, suddenly everything feels different, right? That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. And with FanDuel, you can now place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment, whatever it may be, you name it, they got it. Personally, I love the live betting. I think it's the best when the game starts to shift a little bit. Maybe a receiver starts to get hot, a defense starts to tighten up. Maybe the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment with live spreads, live money lines, and they're all adjusting instantly. You can even bet next touchdown scorers, drive results, or totals. Again, you name it, they got it. Live betting keeps you locked in every snap, every drive, and every possibility. If you want to be right in the middle of all the action this season, visit FanDuel.com today and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and now so can you. All right, I always have fun with this one. Stock up, stock down. Jalen Redmond has to be like the leader on this segment, this bit this year. How about Jalen Nailor tonight, though? 3 catches, 2 touchdowns. I'm sure we'll have some lengthy conversations this offseason about will he stay or will he go. Probably going to deserve a pretty healthy bag for a wide receiver 3 somewhere by somebody. But definitely stock up tonight. For Jalen Nailor on primetime, catching those 2 touchdowns.
Oh, yeah. Continues to go up. We we clocked this early in the year when the production wasn't coming for reasons, but he was open. He's been open all year. So I'm not surprised to see the production come. And I've already seen people like throw the idea out there of like, well, what if you let Addison walk, you extend Nailor, make him the wide receiver 2 or whatever. That to me is a bridge too far right now, but he's making that conversation harder and harder every week.
I mean, yeah, like a trade. You mean like an Addison trade?
So yeah, or
you've
let him play out the contract, and he's not the long-term guy or something
right.
like that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you'd have to make the Nailor decision now before you make the Addison decision. But it's
Addison and 2 first-round picks for Joe Burrow. Walk with me.
Yep.
Jalen Nailor, wide receiver 2.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I'm
all about bringing
same
him back.
Package, gritty. Those 3 with JJ, gritty package. Yep.
Yeah. Jalen Nailor might be a luxury item you can't afford in an offseason where you need to trim $50 million, but I would love it if they could find a way for.
Well, you also drafted, you used your only day 2 pick last year on a wide receiver. I don't know if you're going to have the luxury, just from a team building kind of like mindset and blueprint. I don't know if that means, okay, you're going to give him the bag for wide receiver 3, and that means what? So you don't like your only day 2 pick last year. I don't know. Plenty of time for those conversations.
I will say, I will say to put a bow on that.
Yeah.
That I don't like when we say bag, I still think we're talking like 8 to 10 million a year. And Kwesi with backloaded contracts and void years, he can turn that into like a $2 million cap hit next year. Like he would find a way to make it work in the cap. So money doesn't have to be restrictive. I would love to get
the 2 years after money wise are like very empty. So it's pretty clear that like some of this overcommitment of 26 is going to get spread into 27. You're going to balance that out a little more.
And it's one of his only 2 good draft picks. You don't think he's going to go after him? You don't think he's going to try to lock him up? Come on now. Any stock down at first glance here? I know Will Reichert is definitely not stock down. How about stock up for Will Reichert?
Yeah, I could keep going stock up. How about Will Fries? I thought Will Fries had a really nice game.
Pitched a shutout, I think.
Line.
No hitter.
Yeah. How about the entire offensive line for that matter? I mean, Luke, you called it out. Yeah.
6 pressures and 28 dropbacks. No sacks.
Yeah. O-line was fantastic.
Yeah. Only really, really bad rep was when Ryan Kelly got bulldozed because Kenny Clark jumped the snap count. I mean, that's like the one really bad rep I can remember. Speaking of offensive line, did you guys see what happened to Brian O'Neill? Because I missed it entirely.
No, I heard them talking that they're missing O'Neill now, and then he was getting the tape cut off his cleat, so maybe an ankle or foot thing. But I didn't see it, and I have no insight as of right now.
I'm sure. I mean, we're recording. We're live here, like right after we went to 000s. I don't even know if O'Connell's hit the podium yet. I'm sure he'll speak to it. All they said was ankle, according to somebody in the chat. So. Yeah, we'll see on that, and then but I wonder if this game mattered. I wonder who would have gone out or stayed in. Javon Hargrave goes out as well after I think a not so great showing. If you want to stock down, that's kind of going up and down. And I thought a little stock down for Blake Cashman, who misses a lot of tackles high, gets dragged for extra contact a lot.
Yeah,
that whole middle.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say Cashman, but I did want to bring up who's kind of a stock down culprit just by association. When you look at the Cowboys, 29 carries, $138, 5 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns on the ground. I wasn't going to say Cashman top of my head. I was just going to fling out guys like Hargrave or Jonathan Allen. But I suppose without watching this game back and watching snap by snap, I'm sure all 3 probably play their part. Again, and just the Cowboys' efficiency on the ground tonight. That was tough to watch. And if they would have lost this game, I'm sure we'd be diving into that lack of run defense a lot more. Definitely. Yeah. And any what we loved, what we hated tonight. Go ahead, Sam. Go ahead.
CJ Ham tonight. CJ Ham bang for your buck.
Life today.
Played 16 snaps, and it felt like he was making a play on half of them. His first carry of the year ends up in a touchdown. Good efficiency, touchdown to carry ratio. Just got to give the fullback some love. And how about heavy sets? Heavy sets paying dividends the last 2 weeks. I don't have the data in front of me, but it's yielded good results. And we've seen the heavier guys actually being the ones doing the splashing with Josh Oliver and CJ Ham. So that's, again, good recognition on Kevin O'Connell's part of what needed to happen, and then making it work.
Can I ask you guys a question? It's a bit of an inflammatory one. I've been a big TJ Hawkinson defender. I thought he had a pretty nice day. So you know that this is not coming from a place of frustration or anger. But hypothetically, if you were to try to save money by getting rid of Hawkinson, trade him, cut him, however, post June 1st, whatever you want to do, and your tight ends next year were Josh Oliver and Ben Sims, how would you feel about that?
I think it depends what they do with the money, and it doesn't always equate A to B or black to white like that, obviously. But pending what they would do with that money would help me, I feel like, kind of justify it. I wouldn't feel good about it, though, right out the gate. I just don't think.
Yeah, it would feel a little bit like a boring room. It would feel like you want more out of that room. Yeah,
not only a boring
got a
room,
glimpse
but
of this,
like it's all about JJ McCarthy next year again. Like we gotta even hit it harder, and taking out somebody like Hawkinson, who, granted, maybe has not lived up to the hype or kind of our expectations, but you can say that for almost anybody on offense, really, when you go back to week 1.
Yeah.
So.
Who was your tight end for the first half of last year with Oliver? Was it Nick Muse? Because I remember
it was like a weird veteran, wasn't it?
Well, that's the point, is that we can't remember because they didn't do anything. I remember crunching the numbers week after week, like counting up how many receptions your tight ends had through
Johnny
4
Mundt.
weeks, through 5 weeks. Oh, Johnny. Was it? Is
Was
it
it
only
still?
been a 1
it
year?
was still Mundt. Yeah, it was
Since,
still Johnny
Best
Mundt.
tight end 3 in the league. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, of course.
Well,
Okay.
the tight end
He was tight end 1,
performance-
arguably.
Correct. The tight end performance, though, without Hawkinson last year was pretty feeble. So that would have me concerned.
This is a Ben Sims question. I kind of think that dude rules. I think if he was still in Green Bay, he would have been like be having a moment right now. I just kind of believe in that guy.
Well, he's ours originally, so
I know. I was mad
Bring
we
him
let him
home.
go.
What we loved, what we hated. I already knocked out plenty of what we loved. Anything else as far as what? How about special teams? No penalties tonight.
Rough one though. With
Was there
some really really bad returns, some bad returns given up.
by Turpin? You're saying?
Yeah, the kickoff units on both sides had a
kick
really
off out of
rough day.
bounds.
The kickoff out of bounds.
Mm-hmm.
Fake field goal allowed.
Yep, the fake field goal
allowed.
problem.
Yep,
yeah,
that was rough.
really
Yep.
rough. I don't think Matt Daniels took steps toward keeping his job.
Yeah.
At least Josh Oliver recovered the onside kick.
Yeah,
That's
he
all
got
that
it this time.
There you go. Special teams all year has seemed very hot and very cold. It's either great with Will Reichard, maybe Ryan Wright. Ryan Wright had a couple nice punts tonight. Long of 65, 2 for $112, average 56 yards, and both of them inside the 20. I want to say both of them are inside the 10 as well. Obviously, Will Reichard's been fantastic this year. Miles Price has definitely flashed quite a bit. I know we have some concerns with him, but all in all, he's flashed quite a bit for going into the offseason, going into week 1. Like, no idea. We're just rolling the dice with this guy. But the bad, obviously, has been very bad this year for special teams, no doubt. So anything else? What we love, what we hated, stock up, stock down. Did I miss anything? The chat said Fabian Monroe, stock up. Maybe just a little bit of love for him over there.
I had a couple moments. I've got some stats for you when you're ready.
Please. Yep.
Go for it.
I think for what we'll be talking about tomorrow, Luke, I think a lot of people will be kind of debating, okay, but it was the Commanders and the Cowboys. Like, these are not the best defenses. What the heck? Of all of the games every quarterback has played against the Dallas Cowboys, this one ranks second by EPA per dropback. Caleb Williams in week 3 had that absolute barn burner against the Cowboys. That's the only game all season that a quarterback has outproduced J.J. McCarthy. They have played against Patrick Mahomes. They had Bo Nix put up 44 on him, and that game by EPA per dropback at least was slightly lesser than this one that J.J. McCarthy put down. It was a good game even after adjusting for the futility of the Cowboys defense.
Yeah, love it. Love it. Really good. One more segment to go here. What we'll be talking about tomorrow, maybe biggest X factor as well. That's all coming up right after a very quick break. X factor, you think we already kind of, I mean, Jalen Naylor, I guess, would be my X factor tonight. CJ Ham, we gave a little bit of love to. O-line was solid as well. Anybody else want to throw anybody else up there as far as just a candidate for biggest X factor tonight?
Yeah, I'll give a little love to a guy who I'm not sure is going to be on the field again, Jonathan Grenard. I think that seemed like a season-ending either like pec or shoulder thing. I hope not. There seemed to be a little bit of concern with the way people were walking around, with the way he responded to it. That seemed a little ugly. So shout out to him. He ended on another great game. The half sack he got was incredible, where he circled around and got his way back into the play. And of course, he gets hurt on another play that he's affecting, getting right to Dak Prescott, and just story of the season, unable to close the deal on the sack. That was his bugaboo all year and couldn't finish the job a lot of times. But man, he is in the backfield constantly. Mm-hmm. So if he is out for the next 3 games, the Vikings will sorely miss that.
We haven't really shouted out the running backs. Aaron Jones more than Jordan Mason, but I thought they did a great job kind of picking their way through the creases when they were there, churning, fighting for extra yards, being physical against a defense that has not been physical, with the exception of maybe Quinnen Williams, who left partway through this game. Yeah, nice game up front, I think, in a lot of ways, and especially CJ Ham, who I think was it Kenneth Murray? Someone died. He killed a man. Did you see that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was unbelievable.
Yeah, he's toast. Yeah. It feels like one of these games with the two running backs that just it looked and felt better than what maybe I'm looking at when I look at these box score numbers, if that makes sense. Like just a little bit more efficient than these numbers just aren't great. They're just not very good. And again, the volume's not really there either. But again, 22 carries, 65 yards between the two of them on 22 carries.
Right.
Felt better than that. Felt better than that.
This would be a success rate game to see what the success rate was, because you can, you can chalk up the 4th down and 1 conversion as a very successful run. That's not going to help your average in any meaningful way. It did feel like they were staying on schedule for the most part with the run game. So yeah, I'm not mad about it. It wasn't as good as last week, but I'm not tripping either. I just like that J.J. McCarthy had to do some of it himself. This wasn't gift wrap for him. He had to he had to play from behind a lot of the game, like down 7-0, down 14-7, down 23-17. It's not like he got to play comfortably with the lead. The defense wasn't, the Cowboys kept putting up points. He had to keep coming, and he did that. So I'm just walking away really, really pleased with the trajectory on that side of the ball. How quickly we can change our opinion. J.J. McCarthy's 4-4 right now on the season.
Look
the
at
way
that.
you
Go
said
all
that was like a kid at
back to
Christmas
500.
walking down the stairs to the Christmas tree, seeing those presents. He's 4-4, man. Let's go.
Careful, bad things happen to J.J. McCarthy when he walks down the stairs.
Oh, oof. Too soon.
J.J. McCarthy had a good quote that I saw on Twitter. Let me try to find it. Basically, I did the gritty in practice. They told me not to, but I did it anyway. Something along those lines.
Yeah,
He's a leader.
Trailblazer.
Trailblazer.
Oh, here it is. I did it in practice and was told not to do it. So me being who I am, it's like, oh, now I'm more enticed to do it. I'll definitely get a minus for that one.
So true.
I love that.
So true.
I love that. What we'll be talking about tomorrow. Yeah, go ahead, Luke. You got some?
Like Cam X Storm said in the chat, should be 5-3, right? If we get a reasonable kick return on that Bears game, where he's 5-3 as a starter, we're still in the hunt. We're feeling good.
There you go. Yeah,
I was at that game. Sorry, I was just thinking back. I was stewing the one game I decided to go to. Yeah, that's on me. That's on me, actually.
Yeah, that's yours.
Rough.
What we'll be talking about tomorrow? What's the A topic you think? Obviously, we'll be on the Viking Squad show tomorrow morning, doing this all over again. But dust settles here. It's always a little emotional right after the games. But what's the biggest talking point you guys think after what we just watched unfold?
Are we just giving flowers to KOC now after tearing him down?
Coach of the year, man.
12 weeks.
Remember?
We panicked too early. I panicked too early, certainly. But what reason were we given to think that it would turn around this quickly? I'm pretty fired up to see that it could turn this fast and this dramatically, and that J.J. McCarthy can go into tough road environments and win. He's done it 3 times now this year, and that maybe Kevin O'Connell kind of understands what it's going to take to baby along a young quarterback. I think people learned some lessons, and it took too long to learn those lessons, but I'm glad they learned them this year and didn't have to wait to audit themselves or get fired in the offseason. That would have been depressing.
Yeah, I think the reason that you had was the one they gave you leading into the Commanders game that we were all making fun of, rightfully so. And like I said earlier, like that story is easy to tell. But I got one for you guys who are going to be more interested in this than I am. But it's from John Krasinski. This is the first day since 2003 that the Wolves, Vikings, and Wild have all won on the same day.
Somebody
is this
shouted
the Quinn
that
Hughes
out in
effect?
the chat, man. That is unbelievable. 2003,
so, Minnesota
Sam,
sports.
Does that feel right?
It does
Minnesota
not feel right.
sports
Something's fishy here. You're
It's the
telling
Quinn Hughes
me
effect,
that
man. It's Quinn Hughes.
It's Quinnesota is what it is. It's
Quinnesota.
Minnesota today in Quinnesota. But I have a hard time buying that you've got probably, because hockey doesn't start till October, basketball starts in October. You probably got 12 dates per year where this could happen, and it hasn't happened in 22 years. That's crazy.
We were due.
We were due.
due, baby. Minnesota, I love it. We were due. Wild obviously had a fun, splashy trade. Wolves, I want to say 3-4 in a row now. Giants up next here, a couple minutes before we get out of here. Giants up next, back on the road in New York. Giants obviously out of playoff contention as well. They too are trying to develop a young quarterback. Any quick storyline or just a quick thought about Week 16 that kind of intrigues you already? Still 7 days out.
Guess the line.
Okay. I will say Giants lost to Washington. We shut out Washington. I'm going to say Vikes by 1.
Braun?
2.5 on the road. Vibes are good. They're on a winning streak. Vibes are horrific in New York. 2.5. Vikes by 2.5.
Ding, ding, ding. 2.5.
Nice.
Braun nails it.
Well done.
Do I get any betting contest money for that?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Let's just hand it up.
Need it. Back to the scene where it all started last year. Van Ginkel had the pick 6.
Mm-hmm.
So
that,
I mean,
that,
it's
that
gonna be
started out with a turnover, I believe, on CJ Ham, the first drive.
That's right.
That did, yes.
Good
in
good
the Century
memory.
Reds.
So Jackson Dart's the quarterback. That's kind of that's fun, at least, right?
Yeah, he's fun.
You get to go against a quarterback that has a little bit of juice. At this point in the season, you're kind of rooting for challenges, right? It's very opposite. Like if you're in the playoff mix, you want to bank wins at all costs. Now in this position,
play spoiler a little bit.
Yeah, you want to play spoiler. You want to be challenged. Honestly,
Mm-hmm.
like this is kind of the game I care least about of the final 3. I just want to get to those home games against Detroit and Green Bay and maybe end both of their seasons. But New York's, got a running game that now has a quarterback that can contribute to it pretty substantially. And they've got a bunch of wide receiver 3s over there. No disrespect.
Well, they're going to, and obviously, we're not going to see this next week, but they are going to be enticing once Malik Neighbors comes back next year. That's probably a very enticing head coaching job for somebody going into the offseason.
Bill Belichick. Yeah. Bill Belichick next year is going to love Jackson Dart.
Lock it in. Yep.
Matt LaFleur?
Wow.
Could see it. Yeah.
Andy Reid?
No, we're not there yet? Okay.
Went there.
No, give it
How
one
about
more
all
week.
the good
Give it one more
teams?
game. One more week.
Wait, one more. Look, I'm just there's whispers, okay?
Parsons out. Also,
Parsons and
that's a
Mahomes
big
out, man.
deal.
Oh,
2 superstars for the
That was-
NFL. NFL got hurt today.
I had a moment today where I realized that like rivalry hate means nothing to me anymore. Because I was bummed about that. Like I was genuinely like, oh man, he was fun to watch. And the thought about like what that means to a division rival, because it has no impact on like the Vikings playoff odds or anything like that. Like usually it like flitters across the darkest part of your mind.
For
you know?
sure.
Like, and we all say we don't want, but like there's a part of you. All right.
Yeah.
Be honest. There's a part of you. But I was like, man, like I don't want to see that happen to the Packers. It was a bummer.
Yeah, that's it. Looked like a non-contact too.
Oh yeah.
You
Just
stepped
stepped wrong pop.
Just step wrong pop, man. Yeah, that's tough. Quick gambling, winners, losers. Anybody make some dough? Anybody make some ground on Luke Braun today? Or
Yeah, did
our
anybody do
leader?
anything special in the betting contest by chance?
Anybody at all? Bueller?
Well, the one of us who was the most down and out, the most deplorable bettor of the year, yours truly, hit on his 18th parlay attempt. Vikings money line, Javonte Williams TD, JJ McCarthy over 1.5 touchdowns thrown. That was $1,000 mythical dollars to win almost 14 grand. So
Amazing.
we'll count the till
Yeah,
after the night's done.
you have to bust out the abacus for that one.
Gonna audit.
What do you
that
think
till.
What do you think of this FanDuel? I got this FanDuel parlay for the rest of the year. I've got the Thunder to set the wins record.
Oh, this is a real thing now.
This is real. Of course, they lost last night.
Yeah.
And I've got it parlayed with both the Rams and Patriots to win the Super Bowl.
They're both gonna win the Super Bowl this year.
To make the
Rams-
Super Bowl, I assume you mean.
And
Those are two.
dude, what are the odds on that?
What have you
Count
done,
me
Sam?
in on that, baby. Juicy.
Oh, man.
Juicy. Sam
win
looks
their
at his
conference,
ticket
I
like,
assume.
dang it.
They
Or
got
was it
me.
win the division?
No, so
So
what
Super
I
Bowl
meant
matchup.
was what I
So
meant
that's like
was
18 to
there are
1,
two
15 to 1.
there are two parlays. We're in the weeds here. There are two parlays. Thunder wins record, and the Rams to win the Super Bowl, and also the same thing, a different bet slip, except it's the Patriots.
So if it's Rams Patriots, you win one of those, assuming you get the Thunder one. Yeah, got it.
Yeah, so there's two shots at it.
Two shots at it.
If the Thunder set the wins record.
Dude, the NFL's wide open this year. I mean, all your stud
truly
quarterbacks,
is.
the Lamars, the Burrows, the you name it, the Mahomes, obviously, after today, especially. It's
no
wide
Chiefs,
open, man.
no Burrow Bengals.
Herbert doesn't look
Bills on the
magical.
road. Ravens maybe
they're
on
winning
the
games,
road.
but it's wide open, man. So
Ravens still need to get in.
Oh, dude, yeah, they won 24-0, and if you go back and watch the game, it's like I still don't believe right now. I don't know. Lamar just doesn't.
Lamar's broken.
Look like the magical Lamar that we're used to. Vikings make it 2 in a row. They're playing spoiler tonight in Dallas. Bedtime for Jerry in Jerry's world tonight. 34-26. That's your final. Vikings move to 6-8 now on the year. Huge shout out to all you guys, all the everydayers out there that always make us your first listen. All you guys coming in the chat with us from game to game. You guys are on fire once again tonight. Check out Ron, by the way, each and every Tuesday on the Ron Johnson Show. Luke Brown right here, always bringing the heat over on the Locked On Vikings show each and every day. We'll be back again tomorrow morning. Another episode breaking it all down. This guy, Sam Ekstrom, he's host. Until then, thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next time. Signing off.